Hello, this is Matt Singer. I'm the arts and culture editor at Willamette Week, and my guest today is Mischa Webley. Mischa is a local Portland-raised film director who, in 2010, directed his debut feature, The Kill Hole, starring the late Chadwick Boseman. And Mischa, maybe you can kind of start by just kind of giving like a quick sort of overview of The Kill Hole, kind of the what it was about, and sort of how this movie ended up becoming your first feature.
Sure. Yeah, The Kill Hole is about two veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan war who are really kind of roiling from their experiences, and one of them has gone AWOL out into the Pacific Northwest wilderness, and another, that's Chadwick's character, is sent out to track him down and find him. And really what it's about in a lot of ways is just uncovering a lot of the layers of combat experience and PTSD. We incorporated, it's a fictional screenplay that I wrote, but there's a lot of nonfiction elements in it. Chadwick's is in a group of combat veterans, and we cast local veterans from the military community here that played those roles, and a lot of unscripted material there, which was great stuff. And really what ends up happening with those two characters is a sort of awkward, kind of intimate bond out in the woods, as they're sort of against one another, but also have a common experience that bonds them together.
And this was filmed in and around Portland, correct?
Yeah, filmed all in the Portland area. So that was in Portland, surrounding areas, and out in the woods that brought us everywhere from down in Malala to the Columbia Gorge, out to a big location at a fire watch tower on Mount Adams.
And so this was very early on in Chadwick's career, at least, I guess maybe not very early, but he had a couple of television roles up to this point, and this was like before 42 and way before Black Panther, obviously. How did you end up casting him in the film?
We did the old-fashioned way. We had a casting call in LA. We working with our casting director, and in that casting call, we probably saw 40, 45 different actors reading for these two parts, and Chadwick was one of them. And I mean, I'll tell you the truth, after 2 days of auditioning all those actors, it was completely clear to us that Chadwick would have the part. Like it was far and away. Chadwick's a unique talent on screen, and more than that, when I'm casting that film in any film, you're looking for something else too. It's not just their ability to act. Chadwick was thoughtful. He was really just cared about the project. He had read everything he could about the role, about the film itself. He had really inquisitive questions, and you could tell he thought about it deeply, and that means a lot when you're looking for an actor. And from there, we cast him and his co-lead, Tori Kittles, and we brought them to Portland. I had been living in California, and so I was really excited I'd written this film for the Portland area, for especially the Pacific Northwest scenery, and it was we brought them back, and we hired a mostly local crew, and we kind of had like an intimate family for a couple months throughout the summer of 2010.
Yeah, I was going to ask, as you said, this was sort of the next film I think he did after this was 42, which was when you played Jackie Robinson, which was sort of his breakthrough. So you all sensed that this guy was going to be something.
Absolutely. It was more than a sense. It just seemed it was inevitable. His talent, his drive, but his kind of gracefulness. He just had a certain grace about him, in that he wasn't egotistical. Someone like that, it's impossible for them to fail, and so it was very clear to all of us.
Did you maintain any contact with him as he sort of began his ascent?
Yeah, we talked and texted, throughout the years. It's been a while now, now of course now I wish I had talked to him sooner, but the last time I talked to him was think after his James Brown film Get On Up came out, and you know, and so we stayed in touch, and I was happy for that.
Can you tell me, if you don't mind me asking, sort of, it was a big shock, obviously, for everybody on Friday. Can you kind of tell me what you were thinking when you heard the news that he had passed?
Oh, it was devastating. It completely caught me off guard. I think like most people, I found out Friday evening just for a friend of mine texted me, and I hadn't heard anything about it. And I mean, it knocked me out. It's been a very emotional few days, and but a lot of conversations with old friends from that film and just other filmmaking friends that were part of it that have, I've been thankful for being able to share the experiences we did with Chad, but also with everybody else. So it's a combination of just, it's very sad. It's devastating at the same time. I just think about what I think about how to respect and honor his memory, and really what it comes down to is the only thing left there is to do is make more movies.
So much has been made in the last couple of days of the fact that this wasn't just the passing of a very talented actor who I think had even bigger things ahead of him, but sort of what he meant to the Black community, particularly in portraying a Black superhero.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot about people talking about how their kids went as Black Panther for a couple of years in a row for Halloween and that kind of thing. I don't know if you have any children in your life, but could you maybe comment a bit on that, on kind of what he meant to the Black community on a wider level?
Sure. I mean, Chadwick, Black Panther, it's hard to overstate the meaning of that film. And especially its success, so there was a couple things going on. It's a great film for one. But having a living symbol of Black excellence and greatness and royalty, in such a well executed piece of art just by itself is something. But I think one of the reasons that really, beyond that, it broke down so many barriers. It just broke down the myth of Black films and Black actors, Black talent not being bankable in Hollywood, which has been, kind of this malicious idea that's been out there very prominently in Hollywood for decades. I mean, for as long as it's been around, the idea that Black actors can't sell tickets. Well, $1 billion later, plus, Black Panther completely proved it wrong and then some. And so I think it gave a lot for younger folks to look up to, kids and otherwise. Gave a lot for artists to look up to watch how Chadwick's trajectory. He's from a small town in North Carolina, I believe. He wasn't handed much to him, in life. He did it on his own, and he got there. And it gave a lot, especially to artists, and especially in the film industry, he's opened up the door for so many other Black artists and filmmakers and actors that it's hard to overstate. And I think we're still going to be feeling the effects of that for a long time. I think it's actually really just begun.
You said that probably the best way to honor his legacy is to continue making movies. Do you have any projects coming up on the horizon for yourself here?
I do. I started this year really re-inspired to jump back full force into it. And I've been working my way through a series of short films. I just wrapped one, and I'm in pre-production on another, and plan to continue that series for the foreseeable future, building into getting another feature film off the ground. And that's after a hiatus for a little while from filmmaking. And it's only been 3 days now since Chad passed, but it's done nothing but affirm that that's the only thing to do. We had a close connection around film. He was really encouraging, and mutually encouraging of each other's kind of skills and talents. And I remember that. I remember the last thing he actually said to me, the last conversation I had a few years back, was a text conversation, and it was simple. He just said, make more movies. And I'm remembering that now. And, and I will.